Hey, it's Rodrigo here. Let's talk about the scenes in the Quad Cortex. The old effects units used to let us work with presets only, so you had to create a preset for a clean tone, another preset for a distortion tone, and so on. Here, the concepts are a bit different. A preset is more like a collection of the gear you want to use at the moment, and scenes allow you to create different configurations for this equipment. So in fact, scenes are what work more like the old style presets. So why using scenes? When a preset is selected, the quad cortex has to load everything that's inside it. So in many situations, it's possible to notice a small delay from the moment when the preset is selected to the moment when it's fully loaded. So when using scenes, you eliminate this issue, since you will be only changing configurations of the parameters of the equipment which is already loaded. In the quad cortex, you can create 8 scenes per preset. So let's take a look. Let's create a new preset. Let's choose the scene mode. So if you are using the Cortex control, you have to click here until it shows this symbol. And if you want to move from one scene to another, you can click over these letters here, or use the gig view, which you are going to see later. And if you are working directly on the Quad Cortex screen, you just have to click here until it shows the scene mode, and then you can move from one scene to another using the foot switches. Let's create an example here with a random block. If I move from one scene to another, the values of the parameters will stay the same. Now, if I change the value of one parameter here and move to another scene, it will stay the same again. So if you want the parameter to behave different in each scene, you have to right-click here and select Assign to Scenes. So it will show you the symbol to indicate that this parameter can have different values in each scene. And if you want to undo this, just right-click again and choose Unassign. And if you are working directly in the Quad Cortex screen, just click and hold here over the parameter until it shows this symbol. And if you want to undo this, just repeat the action and select Unassign. So let's create some real scenes. I will reset this preset. So let's say I want to have a clean tone in my scene A. So I'll start adding a compressor. So a cool thing I like to do is whenever I add a new block, first I turn it off, then I make the assign to scene, and then I turn it on. So by doing this, I make sure that it will always be off by default in the other scenes. That's great. So let's add an clean amp. Now let's add a cab section. I'm going to put it in the row 3 for doing the resource management here in the Quad Cortex. And now let's do the routings and outputs stuff. Okay, so I'm going to add a chorus and a reverb. Fine. So now I think I would have everything I need for my clean tone. So for scene B, I would like to have a crunchy tone. So I'll turn the amp on, turn on the cab section too, and I'm going to add an overdrive pedal. And we put here in front of the amp. That's great. I think it's fine. That would be fine for a crunchy tone. So for scene C, I would like to have a more distortion-like tone. So I'll turn on the overdrive. I would tweak the parameters a little bit, so I'll assign them to the scene. And I would add another amp, not a clean one. Then I'll turn on the cab section. And that would be the gear for my uh, distortion tone. And a solo tone now in Cine D. Let's turn on the overdrive and tweak. I would tweak the parameters a little bit. Turn on the amp. Turn on the cab section and the reverb. And I would add a delay too. That's great. Awesome. So you have 4 different scenes with distinct gear in one single preset. So we could keep adding more and more stuff, but I think you just get you can get the idea, right? So what else we can do? Let's check the gig view. Here in the gig view, we can see our scenes. Yeah, we can do a bit more things here. We can edit the scenes, like changing the names and the colors. Let's do for all of them. So it's also possible to move the scenes to other slots here. Just click and drag it. And it's also possible to copy the scenes by clicking, holding the Alt key, and dragging it around. And if you are working directly in the Quad Cortex screen, just click and drag it here to bring on the gig view. Use this small pencil icon to add the scene name and the color. Then you can save the changes. And for moving the scenes around, you can use this 2 arrows icon here, and then the foot switches to choose where you want it to go. And for copying, this last icon here, and use the foot switches again. Now, in the end, let's not forget to save our presets. And it's great. Now I think it covers everything about scenes. Now, the way you are going to use it, it totally depends on your needs. If you like to have tones of different tones, maybe it's a good idea to create one preset for each song on your set list and then create scenes for the different parts on each song. Or maybe if you don't need or don't want too many different tones, maybe you can just create one single preset with a couple of amps and pedals and effects there and a few scenes to activate them as you need. There are too many ways you can implement this. So that's cool. I think this is it for this video. Thanks for watching and see you next time.